Lanny Poffo, via
Internet.
the computer on the. He was doing a virtual, is it?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and I asked him. I said, "Ask Lanny if he remembers the restaurant we ate at in Illinois when we were traveling together." And Lanny said that he didn't remember, but it was one of those buffet things. And
Right.
Lanny wanted to eat, and because it's all you can eat, Lanny ate as much as he could eat. Then he got sick later on that night.
Oh.
And then he mentioned about being in Ecuador and how good the food was. And I said, Lenny, if I come down there, will you buy me dinner? He says, sure, I'll buy you dinner, Tony. He said, but I'm not paying for the plane ticket. I said, you cheap bastard.
What was Randy Savage like? Lanny's brother.
Yeah, well, Randy was pretty much to himself. He was 100% concentrated, on his career and Elizabeth at the time, But I got on all right with Randy. I remember one time he lost a match and he was coming out of the ring and Strongbow was the agent and he told the guy not to play his music. So Randy was upset about not having any music. And, Strongbow could see it. I could see it too, And then he got back and, he was cursing and carrying on. Why didn't you play my music? And then Strongbow came and said, you see how angry you got? The people seen that. So they came back, in a return match, and the house went up.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's good.
Little thing, but that was, Jay Strongbow. He had great psychology.
Did you see Randy being very overprotective with Liz? You hear stories of him putting her in closets and all that kind of stuff.
I never seen that closet, but
Right.
he'd have a dressing room, close the door, lock the door, and
Right.
yeah, which was a little bit.
Memories of Dynamite Kid and Jacques Rougeau issues. Were you present that night that the fight happened?
I was there, but I didn't see it. I was in another part of the building. I think it was Fort Wayne, Indiana, I think. And evidently something happened, I think, in Miami. It was something to do with a gold chain, a piece of jewelry. And then I heard that it was either Jacques or Raymond. They had a roll of quarters.
Yeah, it was Jacques. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that, just sucker punched Dynamite Kid.
Was Dynamite a bully? Some people would say he was a bully and would take liberties with guys in the ring. And
I don't know about in the ring because I never worked with him, but he was I think he was a bully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Around 1988, Vince pretty much went with Randy Savage on top. What were your thoughts on Randy as being a top guy in '88 for the company and champion?
Yeah. Well, he done well. He was very colorful, you know, and he had that character, which I think it's what Vince was looking for. Character wrestlers, something that's not quite the norm.
Yeah.
But, people could identify with.
Memories of Ted DiBiase.
Yeah, Ted was, he was a good guy. He's still a good guy.
Hard worker, too.
I like Ted, yeah. He got hurt one time. He said, Tony, he says, I'm hurt. He says, I can't take any bumps. I said, Ted, you don't have to take any bumps. Walk and talk, work around that injury. And he did it the first night. And he said, he said, I didn't know it could be so easy, What
about Ricky Steamboat? Guy who reminds me a lot of you. Good worker.
Thank you.
Good babyface.
Yeah, Ricky was, very hard worker, very nice guy. He pretty much kept to himself. And I first met Ricky in the Carolinas, I think, in '79. And you know, him being from Hawaii and me from New Zealand, we're both from the Pacific, you might say Pacific Islands. So I thought we had that in common. But yeah, he was a hell of a worker, and he was a good bodybuilder too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
yeah,
He actually owned a gym in North Carolina too.
yeah, yeah. And I think one of my countrymen, Ed Jacobs, worked for him.
Huh.
Ed? No, not Ed. Jacobs. Oh, forgot
It's all good.
forgot his name now.
You were at the company for so many years, so I'd like to ask you your insight on the following WWF or WWE champions over the years, memories of them, and why you think their title reigns worked or didn't work. Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah, I didn't fancy him that personally.
A lot of the guys didn't.
As a champion. You know, he was a character, and I think they should have just left him as the character.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you see the struggle between him and Vince a lot? I know he walked out on Vince and...
Yeah, no, I didn't see anything there, but he wasn't that smart, if I can say that, because Vince had the delivery truck, you might say.
Yeah.
You know, he had the supplements, if you want to say it. Like, he had the comic book. He could have made millions with the comic book, but he needed Vince to deliver it.
Right.
But he couldn't see that. Yeah.
Sergeant Slaughter.
Oh, Sarge, he was great. What a great guy to work with, too.
And he's funny as hell.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Sarge and I, we had some humdinger matches, you know. We were in Rochester. We had the match. It was over. We must have spent 10 minutes getting out of the ring.
Wow.
Yeah,
the fans?
Yeah, just playing. Like, I'd go to get out, and, you know, he'd step out. I'd go to get out. He'd step back in. He'd take his sweat, and he'd go like that to me. And I'd get back in, and I'd come
Right.
and he'd get out, and then, it was a classic.
Iron Sheik.
Oh, the Iron Sheik. He had that built-in gimmick. It was great. He was funny. I've worked with him many, many times. I was in stitches sometimes when I worked with him. You know, we're down in Norfolk, Virginia. I worked with him. I give him an arm drag and a drop kick, and he went out. And before I got up from the drop kick, he was back in the ring. I was like, "What the hell are you doing here? I just drop kicked you out." You know? Yeah, funny.
Ric Flair.
Oh, Rick, he was I heard as NWA champion, he was the all-time money drawer. And that came from Jim Barnett,
Oh, wow.
you know, who was, I think at the time, head of the NWA.
What about Bret Hart?
Oh, Bret was just, what a worker. Worked many times with him, too. And he'd tell a story. You know, he was good. It'd start very slow, but then by the time you got halfway through the match, it was rolling. Yeah, he was really good.
Were you there the night of Survivor Series with the Swerve?
Yeah, I was in Montreal.
Yeah,
right?
Montreal.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts of the whole?
Well, I didn't. I went to one of the other agents and I said something, you know, about something that, you know, didn't look right to me. I said, don't worry about it, you know, because he was in it. There was only a couple of guys in on it. And then I seen it happen, and then, you know, what do we call it? Brett, like, you know, Vince was right at ringside.
You spit on him.
Yeah. And he spit on him. I said, holy shit. It's a work.
Yeah. So what do you think, shoot or work? Obviously now we all know, so. Yeah.
But, you know, you're talking champions. One of the best champions in my book was Yokozuna.
That was my next guy I was going to ask you about.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, boy, I have all the praise in the world for that guy because he put everybody over that worked with him. And poor bugger, he could hardly make it to the ring at the end.
Sad.
Yeah.
Kevin Nash?
Kevin, yeah, I like Kevin. We were up in, where were we? The Maritimes in Canada. and he hurt his heel, like I don't know what you call it, a stone bruise or something.
Not sure.
I've had a couple of them myself, where your heel really friggin' hurts, and you could take a cortisone shot in it, but that's worse than
Right.
what it hurts. He said, Tony, don't say anything, don't say anything. I said, Kevin, I gotta say something, because Vince probably knows already.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Kevin done well, and he listened to me too. There were a couple of, he was working with a guy, pretty good sized guy, and Kevin took a bump outside, and the guy came outside to get him and threw him in. I said, Kevin, don't let anybody throw you in the ring.
He's too big.
Yeah. He said, well, what do you do? I said, well, have him beat on you a little bit and then make a comeback and you throw him in. And then you sell a little bit on the outside and then you slide in. And by that time he's recovered and he can continue the heat on you. Oh.
Shawn Michaels.
Oh, Shawn, just a workaholic, But boy, if things weren't going his way, I seen him sometimes, even after the match, he'd be going around glad handling the fans, and they'd pull his hair and he'd be like,
What are your thoughts of the Click? Did you see the power play with the Click in the Office back in the 90s?
No, I didn't see too much. I knew it was there, but I didn't know exactly what the hell was going on. I mean, I was there, but I wasn't involved. So
Right.
If it didn't involve me, I kind of just stayed away. But I treated them like everybody else,
What are your thoughts on Scott Hall? Did you get along
Oh,
with Scott?
I like Scott. Yeah, I like Scott, and I met him first time in St. Louis at the Marriott. Up at top there was a bar, and he wasn't working for us. He was Scott Hall, and this guy come up. He said, "Hey, Tony, Scott Hall." He was friends with Mr. Perfect.
Kurt. Yep.
And I looked at him. I said, "Holy shit, who is this guy?" And then I heard, he was scheduled, to come in, but I don't know what happened, but he didn't at that time. And then he got the razor gimmick, and that put him over. Yeah.
Being in the business, who was a guy that you could say that you were kind of a mark for? Was there anybody in the business that you were kind of like a mark for?
There probably was, but I think probably Johnny Valentine.
Johnny Valentine?
Yeah. Yeah, I never seen him work a lot because he was just before me, and then he got in a plane wreck. Yeah, but Greg, I worked with his son, Greg. I loved Greg, too. Oh, the guys used to go, "Oh, he's stiff." I said, "He's not stiff."
That's what I hear about Greg, yeah.
Yeah. Well, somebody made a comment about Bundy being stiff. He's stiff and his punches look like the shit, I worked with Bundy 100 times. I never thought of him as stiff.
Watch thousands of exclusive shoot interviews right now on TitleMatchNetwork.com.